So here's the plan. 2 days, 1 night, solo expedition across the presidential mountain range up to the tallest peak in the Northeast, Mount Washington. So a little twist on this one, I'm not bringing any sleeping or cooking gear. In fact, all I'm bringing is a day bag that's gonna be mostly stuffed with camera equipment. And I'm doing this because, according to my research, this mountain range is so heavily commodified that in theory, all I'm gonna need is cash to complete this route instead of a bunch of gear. Speaking of route, I created an overly complicated and highly logistical loop to complete where I spend tonight in a hut maintained by the Appalachian Mountain Club, wake up and traverse the presidential mountain range to summit Mount Washington, then catch the world's steepest train down the western ridge, and completing the loop by hopping on my bike and pedaling Forest Service roads back to my car at the starting trailhead. We are at the Cog Station Railway. I just talked to the lady at the desk and she promised me that because I'm catching the train at the top to come down, they're not going to sell my seat if I'm not there for the way up. So I should be all good. The next thing I need to do is leave my bike here so it's ready for me when we get off the train tomorrow. So I'm just going to go into the bushes behind me, find a spot, drop it. Hopefully nobody sees what I'm doing and gets all weird. You going to watch my bike for me, man? Okay, successful stash. Let's go. Time check, 1:45. So there's no way I'm hitting my 3 o'clock check-in time. Hopefully dinner's gonna be made. Maybe they need to check in to see if they actually need to make food. I'll eat scraps, I don't care. Thank you. Okay, so we've got 3 miles to Madison Hut. It's 3:15, which means I'm 15 minutes to my official check-in time. So I hope that's not really a big deal. I'm gonna be moving about a mile an hour, maybe a little faster actually. So I'm thinking I'm gonna get there maybe a little before 6. It's kind of weird to start a hike out with a little bit of anxiety of making your reservation on time. I'm going up Valley View Trail, which is a little over 3 miles long and ascends 3,500 feet through dense mixed conifer forest with vibrant riparian undergrowth where fungi, ferns, and moss cover the soft mud and soil. With the snow still melting in the higher elevations, this creek is flowing full with freezing water, which is a perfect break from sweating in the hot and humid air. Okay, here's something that I just have to point out. I grew up out west, hiking the trails out there. Now, those trails were made mostly as mining trails, right? So that trains of donkeys and horses could get up to them. Now, when you have that in mind, you make trails that are reasonably sloped, right? They have switchbacks, they go back and forth. Out east, look at this. You just go straight up, right? It's just up and it's a straight line. Straight up, straight down. And honestly, I'm kind of down for it, you know? No nonsense. You just can't go as fast. As we get higher, the biomes change, trees are smaller, different species. We are slowly transitioning to the alpine zone. Pretty exciting stuff, if you're a nerd like me. 3 miles in, 3,500 feet up, and in a completely new ecosystem, I had finally made it to the iconic Madison Spring Hut, the oldest mountain hut in the United States. So now it's time to see what my $175 reservation gets me up here. Kind of CUNDIFF. The crew was super kind, and the fact that I was a few hours late never came up. So first things first, I need to check out the cabin and claim the best bunk I can. The rooms are filled with triple stacked bunks, have decent mattresses with enough room for my lanky legs to stretch out, a few wool blankets, a pillow, and even a cute little reading light. So far, not bringing any sleeping gear was definitely panning out in my favor. I saved a bed and explored around a little more before dinner and ran into a crew staff talking about what it's like to work a season above treeline in this primitive hut. They literally backpack in all the supplies by foot in these ancient wooden external frame packs to, quote, honor the tradition.
Our salad and our main course for tonight, which is lasagna, black bean soup, and alpine garlic.
So that was a surprisingly energetic, family-based, amazing dinner. So now that my belly's full, the only thing left to do is find a spot to post up and watch the sunset before I go back to my bunk. It's hard to express just how insanely lucky I am to experience a sunset like this. These mountains are famously enshrouded in dense clouds year-round. I kinda get the feeling I'm cashing in a big karma check for this weather. Yeah. After escaping the cacophony of heavy breathers in the cabin and greeting the sunrise out on the ridge, I have officially begun the high alpine route with my sights set for the first of 4 peaks I'll need to summit. Up on top of Madison, you get this phenomenal and final view back east over my home state of Maine before turning west and seeing the entire 6-mile alpine traverse to Washington. Now, there's only a few square miles of alpine ecosystem in New England, and today I'm navigating through most of it. The ecosystem up here is unique in that everything survives through frequent hurricane-force winds and winter chills hitting 100 below zero. The flora grows by the inch and dies by your foot. Closer to the summit, there was still snowpack from winter that as I was trudging through, I met a crew of backcountry skiers who came here just to shred the few lines left before melting away for the season. Less than a mile left and a train to catch, I had to push on towards the busy summit.
Mount Adams gives you the wilderness experience just here.
Right.
You too.
Oh yeah. Good. Howdy howdy. Good. Morning. Morning. Howdy. How's it going? Good. the beast of the East, I had no alternative but to embrace the ludicrous nature of my plan to rely on buying chili dogs in a shopping mall on the summit of the tallest mountain in New England. Welcome to America. Now, we wait until she comes around the mountain when she comes. Hearing my train approaching, I shuffled through the crowds to wait in line with my ticket to board. This cog train is the world's first mountain climbing railway and uses what's called a marsh rack system to maintain torque up the steep as hell 35-degree incline up and down the 3,500-foot climb. After 45 minutes of bad jokes from the conductor, I got off and needed to make sure my bike was still where I left it. Flat. Okay. Big problem. I have new tubes because I knew probably something like this would happen. Now, the replacement tubes are Schrader, not Presta. They're not going to fit. I'm going to go check the gift store, see if they have a knife. Maybe they have a multi-tool. Carve it out, make it bigger, get this thing to fit. Let's go. It took a good 20 minutes, but I was able to carve out the valve hole in the steel rim so that the new tube would fit through and hold air, allowing me to begin the last stretch of this expedition, a 17-mile ride around the base of the mountains through a wooded Forest Service road. After washing away the sweat, dirt, and the anxiety of timing logistics, improvising repairs, and finding meals with another solid mermanning session in the creek, I could genuinely enjoy the last few quiet miles of the route. With 17 miles to reflect on everything I encountered and overcame on this oddball expedition, it became clear to me that these few square miles of elevated rocks clearly reflect something in the human psyche, some need for wildness and adventure.
Mount Adams gives you the wilderness experience.
I see Mount Washington as a unique experiment where we get to see what happens when we create insane infrastructure for literally anyone to get to the summit. Honestly, my experience coming up the last climb and over that last ridge was a brutal transition. Never in my life have I worked so hard and climbed so high to end up around so much of what I'm trying to get away from. Don't get me wrong, I believe that everyone belongs in the outdoors, but there's always scales to be weighed between access and wildness. And as dumb as a plan as it was, I was totally able to get away with only a day bag without sleeping or cooking gear.